Hey, everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters on Olentangy River Road in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. A fantastic October Big Ten day to celebrate what was apparently a Big Ten football game. Ohio State 49, Rutgers 10. Zach Boren back in with us. Taking Bobby's spot.
Yes.
Apparently Bobby had to jet off to Las Vegas on short notice, but he's so busy all the time.
So busy.
That's Justin Zwick and Nicole Cox. How did everyone enjoy the festivities? I thought, personally, that was a pretty boring football game, Zach.
I thought it was. Besides Mayan Williams scoring 5 touchdowns and tying an Ohio State football record, there was just nothing much to it. Ohio State came out and played great defense, a little bit sloppy in the beginning, obviously with the muff punt from Emeka Egbuka, but, it was just, there was no real excitement, right? No kind of big plays, no. I guess Mayan Williams had the long run,
had the long
but
70-yarder.
But C.J. Stroud wasn't throwing it, 70 yards down the field or anything like that. It was just a old-fashioned butt whooping with good defense and a good run game.
Old school.
Yeah. The most exciting thing was, we'll talk about it, but the fake punt. That's when the excitement ramped up in the shoe, and there wasn't a lot of people there to see it, I don't think, but it was fun to watch on TV.
But it was fun to watch on the sidelines.
It was just one of those games that felt boring, but it was just we had to go out and do what we had to do, and the first drive right down the field after we got the ball, which has been great because the offense has come out. Those scripted plays, I feel like they're working to a T. Move right down the field once they get that ball and get scores early in the games, and they took care of business, did what they had to do. It's hard to get up for a Rutgers team, in my opinion. That is just so bad. You beat by 49 points every time you play them. Or you score 49 points every time you play them, yes.
What'd you think, Nicole? You watched it twice? Why did you do that?
Twice.
Well, I was so excited for Mayan. That part, to me, was very exciting. He's just incredible. And, I know this is going to be a weird comment to say, but the size of his legs are just, and I've seen him in person. He's 5'10"?
He is not 5'10".
How tall is he?
In his cleats, he might be 5'10".
I'm 5'10". I'm taller than Mayan Williams.
Okay, so he is just massive. He's a beast. And it was just very exciting to see him from 2 years ago to now. And so that it was incredible. So I wanted to definitely rewatch it and see that. And then I was also looking to see if I could find any other stars of the football game to give my Buckeye Leaf to.
It sounds like you were just already.
It sounded like,
Nicole.
I know, but I really wanted Justin to be able to do that. And we all kind of need to do that because obviously
that's my guy.
Broke Pete Johnson and Keith Byers' records, for how many touchdowns per game. That's incredible.
He's on a tear. And as you're right, he's built like a bowling ball.
He is.
But beyond that, he now has 2 70-yard touchdowns in his career. One in his first start against Minnesota last year, and one against Rutgers, where he looked. I don't think he gets enough credit for his.
No, he has the speed. When he broke through that, you're like, okay, who's hawking him? Yeah, he was. He was getting those knees up. He was trying to get as much as he could, and you thought for a second, like, all right, well, what safety or cornerback's going to come trip him up? And then no, he had enough to carry it all the way through.
Here's the issue: is that we all want to sit up here, and I know the fans want to talk about how great Mayan Williams played. I kind of think on the flip side is that this may be not the worst thing, but this might be a topic of controversy, right? You've got Mayan Williams, who has totally been outperforming Travion Henderson this year. You've got Mayan Williams, who we've talked on the show before, that might complement this offense and C.J. Stroud better than Travion Henderson does. Mm-hmm. But Travion Henderson's a start, right? He's the one that's got the NIL deals. He's the one that is the fan favorite. He's the one that was the number 1 running back and 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So now, as a coaching staff, as a locker room, you see what Mayan Williams has brought to you. You saw what Mayan Williams did against Wisconsin and kind of the tough running that he showed, and even throughout the entire year. And then you see finally a game where he's not splitting reps, and he goes for, 189 yards, I think, on Saturday, and 5 touchdowns. So now it's like, what do you do? And that is tough.
Yeah, sorry, Jay-Z. I just think that I try to be careful with the way that I phrase it, because all the things that you said are correct, Zach. And I don't think that Travion Henderson is incapable of the tough yardage. I don't think that
I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I think
he is a great player.
I think his upside, his electrifying speed, all that in the open field, you would say objectively he measures more impressively than Mayan Williams. But you and I have talked about this, and we've said maybe on the show before, like just it feels like what Mayan Williams provides with the toughness and in between the tackles and in short yardage gives Ohio State more of what it needs for its rushing attack. And I say all that, and it doesn't mean that Travion Henderson couldn't get through this. I've compared it to the sophomore year for J.K. Dobbins when he was in that share with Mike Weber. And at that time, you and I were also saying, well, it feels like Mike Weber gives Ohio State more of what it wants.
And we thought then J.K. Dobbins was by far the better running back.
But sometimes it takes time, like anything, Jay-Z, to figure out what you're supposed to do, all the job requirements that go with playing as an every down running back in the Big Ten or for a national championship team. And this can be good.
I think that they're both incredible players. I think Mayan, for this game, I think it also depends on the team you're playing too. Like how our offense is handling their defense, and that kind of opens up the paths to make plays,
right.
So I think they're both incredible, just like the best duo ever, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave that I loved. In my mind, they were both incredible.
Complementary pieces.
And our Travion and Mayan roommates, I feel like they're really good friends.
They're very good friends.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
They don't have any problem sharing the workload, which I think was part of the issue with Mike Weber and J.K., that both of them sort of wanted to be the primary guy, and Ohio State couldn't figure out the best way to manage that. I don't think that's an issue with Travion. Now, Travion was obviously hurt on Saturday. That's part of it.
Well, what I was going to touch on was we've talked about it multiple times with the J.K. to Mike Weber comparison. The issue with J.K. was it was more of a mental thing, right? J.K. wanted to be the number one guy and wanted to hit the home run every single time he touched the football. And it kind of felt like Travion has been trying to do that. And we call it sophomore slump. The issue is Travion's also battling injuries. His body's not 100%. J.K. was 100%, just mentally was kind of, trying to do too much. So from Travion's standpoint, that's the other harder thing is when you're fighting it mentally, and we've all been there on a football field. I've been there. When you just feel like you're in a rut, you're fighting it mentally, but then also your body isn't keeping up with you, that's when it's really hard.
100%. And that's one thing to think about with Trey. I mean, even last year, he got banged up a little bit in the middle of the season. So, this year, I felt like, and it has nothing to do with Trey. I mean, they're both great athletes. Trey was out there toting the rock on Saturday. He would have had probably just as many yards. Like that offensive line, what it comes down to is the offensive line is doing a great job, right?
Yep.
But even before last week, I just had a feeling in my body, like I feel like they like Mayan a little bit more. I feel like they maybe not like him, but trust him or want him in these spots a little bit more than Trey, just because of his physical running. That first guy's not going to bring him down. Trey may be a little bit lighter, maybe not break some of those.
Sure.
So I think it was just it all just kind of accumulated into that Saturday. Hey, 5 touchdowns. He's the only one that got the carries. I don't think that makes anybody say Trey's not going to play anymore this year. I mean, Mayan's not starter. I still think they're probably a 1A, 1B type thing. But, it was a great showing for him. You hope Trey gets healthy. That's the main thing. And they may just be slow playing this, ain't it? We got this schedule coming up at the back end. We want these guys to be 100% healthy. We don't really need them right now. Mayan can go out and carry that load. And that's fine because I think the less hits they get throughout the year, the better. Come November and the big games of the season.
JC, what was that feeling? Did just get your mustache tingling? Is that how you knew that?
This time my mustache started. I was like, "What is that?" I feel like there's something in the air. There's something in there for my guy.
You touched on it too. Is they haven't gotten to kind of the meat of the schedule, right? I mean, obviously, Michigan State isn't what Michigan State was.
It's not what we thought they would be.
Right, but you're still going on the road for the first time in East Lansing. You still have Iowa, who's a really good defense. Granted, Michigan kind of cut them up this past weekend. You still have to go on the road to Penn State, which Penn State's looking like a great team this year. And you still have that game at the end of the year. And what we haven't seen, and I've been most surprised by it, is with all the injuries to the wide receivers, why we haven't seen almost like a 2 running back set with Mayan and Travion in the game at the same time. And maybe they're saving that stuff knowing once we get to the end of the season, right?
You heard it here first when you see that later this season. Zach Boren coming in.
I think so too. I really do. I think there's just a bunch. They're just mixing it all up to keep everybody, confused and just to keep everything fresh.
And I think
everything fresh.
Well, fresh is important because I think they're looking at the schedule saying, all right, we got guys a little dinged up. I'm sure if Trey had to play, I mean, I don't know exactly what he has, but if it was Michigan, would JSN be in there? Would Trey be in there? They just know, all right, we got this part of the schedule. We're going to be okay.
Yeah,
let's get these guys 100% healthy and then bring them back in and get them into the fold here when these big games come down the line.
Yeah, they've managed it well. Speaking of fresh, Nicole.
Roosters.
Some brand new Roosters onion feathers out here.
Yes.
For Appetizer Tuesday.
Appetizer Tuesday.
And they're battered onion petals with feather sauce.
Yes. the
Feather
Pluckin'
sauce, and the feather
used to be
sauce
called the
is
Pluckin'
yummy.
sauce.
And
It
I don't.
is.
Did it get too dicey with the pluck-in sauce?
You know, I'm not sure, but
Didn't
I
want
just
Bobby
know
saying it on the radio.
probably. But
You gotta be careful on that one,
feather
guys.
sauce is really, really good. It's very unique.
Yes.
So that is the Appetizer Tuesday. They're right here.
Yep.
Zach's going to go to town. Jay-Z was.
I've already.
sampling
Yeah.
the
I'm not
whole
even an
show.
onion guy, but I was eating those, and the sauce is really yummy.
So you can get those for $2 on Tuesday. And on your rewatch, Nicole, what did you think in the fourth quarter when Jesse Mirko takes off
Yes.
on a fake punt? I know you have thoughts about it. It's in
Australia.
the notebook.
Yes.
I don't know if I should go first
You
or
should
if I
go
should let
first.
you guys go
No,
first.
Oh no, we want to
You
hear
said
this.
you had a theory. And
Okay, I do.
And I want to hear it.
I
I've
wanna
been
hear it.
thinking about it
No, let's get
since
it.
Saturday night, and I've been, it's been a big talk in our house. And now this is coming from a female perspective, okay? I need everybody to know that. So but if you take a step back and you think of it this way, it really makes a lot of sense,
Okay,
okay?
let's go.
You need to think of Schiano as coming back, like, say you're that person in high school that might have been kind of nerdy or something, and you want to come back to your high school reunion and you really just want to show everyone up and just look amazing. Because right now in Rutgers, he's the best coach they've had, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a big dog there. Now he's coming to play where he used to, coach, and he wants so badly to win. I mean, in his mind, he was like, we're winning that game, as any person would in that situation, okay? That's why, we were trying to be nice and say we're not going to make this game any worse than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh no, we still have a chance." And God love him, like I get that feeling.
It's so cute, like a little kid, right? We still have a chance. Pat him on the head and say, "It's okay,
It's
Timmy."
just
No, not that. Coming back to the high school reunion, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I'm amazing.
I'm the
Yes, I'm
homecoming
amazing.
king.
Yeah,
I
literally.
made it.
I'm
Look
the
at my
homecoming
washboard
king.
abs. I didn't have
Yep.
these in high school.
Look at
I'm
me all
taking my
grown up.
shirt off.
And I'm a millionaire, super successful, and just like that's 100% how he wanted to be. And in his mind, they were not losing this game, and he really believed that until the and we're all like, "Ugh, it's over, and he's like, "Oh no, because he wants
The party's still going.
Yep.
I didn't drink in high school, but now watch what I'm going to go to the keg stand. This party ain't stopping.
We're talking about Bobby Carpenter.
I mean, it sounds like something that Bobby.
I think
Was this a story about his high school reunion? Yes.
No comment.
The weirdo in high school and comes back. Yeah, is it Bobby?
I feel
guy's
bad
the life of the
laughing.
party.
So then he was, I think, kind of realizing maybe they'd be losing, and he just let all that anger that was on the inside come. He saw an opportunity and was like, "I'm going to give him a piece of my mind." And
Because the actual popular kids were like, "Greg, you sucked in high school, bro.
Yeah.
You can't party
None
with
of this
us.
makes any difference. You sucked in high school.
We hated you, buddy.
He
You
just
hit that
wanted-
cyclist. Remember that?
He
You
just-
remember that?
he just
You suck, bro.
he just wanted to show everyone that he's made it.
Yeah.
Because he is the best where he's at. That's why the standard is the standard. There, the standard is he is the best. It's all within perspective. So, but the best part of this whole thing is Coach Day is one of the nicest, most even keel people
You
I've
didn't
ever
look
met.
that nice on that
Wait,
little exchange.
Wait. So he gets. I don't see him get overly excited about stuff. He's just so nice. Okay.
Yeah.
When I saw him on that field, I loved it. I loved every moment of it because I thought of it. Again, I'm not comparing him to a woman, but that mama bear, like, you're not messing with my kids kind of thing. Because that's what those teammates are, because that's like us moms with our kids, and dads are that way too. But this is like their career, and totally, I mean, that was the best. You were like, oh gosh. And
It was a moment.
and I think that's exactly what it was, protecting his players and just, you get in that mode. You're just like, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I just
So-
love when the coaches, I was protecting my player. Like, what is going to happen out there?
Defend.
What are you really doing,
You're
guy?
wearing
It's his
pads.
turn.
Yeah, I mean, they have helmets on, they have pads on, and what are you going to do?
But it's his turf.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just
You know?
teasing. Yeah.
Kind of like my dogs in the yard. They're not letting anybody in.
I just don't know why. We might talk about it later.
We'll get into it
Guys,
more. But
don't you think it was a great theory?
I think
I think you're onto something there, Nicole.
Yeah, it was my favorite.
I think you're onto something. Yeah,
Nicole, that was your best segment in Roosters.
It's got to go down one of the top
the
three.
podcast Horseshoe Lounge show.
Even if it doesn't, guys, I just really think that's I think that's a good analogy to explain it.
Yeah,
I think it was wonderful.
Laid it out.
I want more of that every single week.
Yes.
I want you to
I'll
come
try.
up with
We just need exciting stuff like
Tie it
that.
back to Bob's high school reunion every week. Every week we're gonna tie it back.
That's the best the live show analysis that we've ever had about anything.
Agreed.
I don't even know how you're going to follow it up with your Roosters Buckeye Leaf, Nicole.
Well,
But you're going to have to try.
Mayan Williams.
Okay.
I know.
Right.
That's why.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, guys, he was incredible. I think the team. I also think the team in general, having Rutgers score first and for them just to pull themselves together and not let that affect them and just to be like, oh, whoa, wait a second, and just get right into the game and not let another play happen, or it didn't like shake them up at all.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Well, she took mine. And I told her, I was like, Nicole, I'm taking my guy. And she's like, no, I'm taking him. I was like, geez, Nicole.
No, Justin,
I'm just
100% gets credit for him because I remember him talking about him.
It was a long time ago.
It was amazing
Yeah.
that you saw that in him
I was just-
so long ago.
Yeah, he had a great game. I mean, 5 touchdowns. That's pretty amazing stuff. I'm going to go with Zach Harrison. Maybe not a ton of numbers. He had a couple tackles, forced fumble, tip ball. I just felt like he had a presence in the game, and it was messing things up there. Moved around a little bit on the defensive line, showing some different looks. And just for a guy who's from here, he's been the 5-star. He's been the one talked about. Is this going to be his year? Not that it was like a huge breakout game or anything, but I think he's a solid player and he's in there. And I like to see those guys who sticking around, just keep fighting their butts off. And he had a couple big plays in that game, so I'm giving him my Buckeye Leaf.
I love it.
Who are you going with?
Jesse Mirko.
Okay.
That was going to be my one B, and then I figure you're going with
Okay. So I'm going with obviously the guys who have set the tone all year. And it's the linebackers, but finally Steel Chambers.
Yep.
Tommy Eichenberg has been the talk of Ohio State football. Has been actually a talk of
he's
an All-American linebacker right now.
Been running around that field like crazy.
Sure. And finally, Steel Chambers has been there with him every step of the way. It's just Tommy's had that performance, and now Steele's finally had that performance that everyone's taking notice. He's running sideline to sideline. He's making plays. And from what we saw from him on Saturday, if Tommy and Steele are able to play like that for the rest of the year, I mean, this team is a really hard team to play because not only do you have a defense who's finally playing sound, you have some linebackers who are some playmakers, you also on the other side of the ball have an offense that's really hard to stop. We've seen over the past couple of years, you have a great offense, but a defense who's willing to give up a big play and give up points. And now we're finally seeing a defense who's coming together. I know Jim Knowles says it's a safety-driven defense, but from my standpoint, it always starts in the middle at the linebacker position. They're the ones who makes everyone whole. And those two guys have been doing an amazing job. And so, Tommy's been getting all this praise. Steele finally is due some praise for his performance on Saturday.
Yeah, it's kind of like they've had these games where it's like, all right, well, Tommy had the more tackles, Steele's right there, so you go with Tommy. But this one, it kind of flipped on him. And, you're exactly right. They've been playing just amazing. And you love to see it because last year, what was it? All the keyboard warrior, where's our defense? Linebackers suck. They're so slow, blah, blah, blah. And look at them now. You get them in a different situation, a different defense.
But
a year of experience, and they're crushing it.
I think people finally realize, though, that those keyboard warriors that you're talking about, they finally realize what coaching and schemes do. So many people for so long just knock on these guys and
have no idea
hate them,
why,
right? Because of the way they're performing. But then those same guys now this year are the biggest fans,
I know,
right?
I know. That's how it goes, isn't it?
The fans are finally realizing because there was.
It's like, these guys are good athletes.
But there was minimal turnover, right? From last year's team, really, to this year's team. And so now these guys are finally like, oh, okay, now this is basically the same defense we had last year.
Same dudes.
Yeah, same guys.
Same
and look
dudes.
at what's going on.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Guys, I think we need to talk about that more on the show, and start preparing people that, hey, we're going to have another turnover period in, a couple of years, because I feel like that's what we went through with CJ. That's what we go through. People are like, oh, we're terrible. And it's like, these guys have not been in a game in the shoe This is their first game in the shoe. And if you look back on it, you're like, they played incredible for that being their first game, you know?
Yeah.
I think a lot is lost on young guys starting for the first time.
That stresses me out.
You know,
you know how I feel about that.
I saw it first team, 04. A lot of new sophomores were starting.
You can't prepare for, and that bothers you.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can't get mad at them for things that they are still learning, and they are learning so quickly.
You just like to see that progression, and you see them getting it a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, until the Michigan game.
Yes.
Right. So there's some give and take.
100%.
There's some give and take.
I am going to give it my Buckeye Leaf to Jesse Mirko, but we'll talk about that in the second half of the show when Berm slides in here, because there's a lot more to discuss about the high school reunion for Greg Schiano, and we're going to.
Hey guys, Greg Schiano has always been really nice. He loves Roosters, so
who doesn't love Roosters?
It was just really nice.
That's like saying that
but Coach
you
Day
love
does
Christmas.
too, and I love him.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
who doesn't love
And I
Christmas?
feel like we have forgot one thing here in
Okay,
this
what's
opening segment. That is the bowl
Buckeye-
giveaway.
Buckeye bowl trip
we're
giveaway.
gonna get there.
Okay, my bad. My bad.
I was going to give another secondary.
Oh, okay, my fault.
You're not the producer.
Well, I saw, Nicole's over there giving us the eyes, like, you guys better talk about this. And so I'm like, hey.
He tried to kick me off and not let me give my pick 1 week, so we're just making sure.
Sometimes that's the risk of me not having a script for the show.
That's right.
But sometimes there's a benefit because we get unexpected surprises.
Yes.
Watching what Julian Fleming has been able to do once healthy the last couple of weeks, and you can just see the arrow pointing up. I asked him after the game, like, when was the last time you felt like you were able to run at that speed, not be afraid of getting hurt, even just be healthy enough to hit that top gear? The way he finished off that touchdown catch, he hadn't even seen it since high school. Maybe even before that, he had a shoulder injury even when he was playing there in Pennsylvania high school football. So I think he got a little bit lost in this conversation about Jackson Smith and Jigba's injury, and here comes Marvin, here comes Emeka Egbuka, and what else could happen, and even like preseason spring talk about Jaden Bauer. Like, Julian Fleming was the number 1 player in the country
on a wing T offense, wasn't he?
Because everyone could see the athleticism.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not had an opportunity to show that because it's injury after injury after injury for him, and he's still not 100%. I talked to him about that after the game, but you can see how much closer he's getting, the confidence that he's building, and it's just really nice to see that, because the part about being number 1 in the country in the wing T offense was that it was going to take him time just to learn how to be a complete wide receiver.
For sure.
So there were a lot of expectations.
And then you throw injuries on top of that, and it just delays everything.
A lot of expectations, and a lot of people say, wow, well, if Julian doesn't get the ball at this point, he's going to leave. No, I mean, he's stuck through this, the development process and the health process, and he's getting rewarded for that. And I think that's fun to watch for young men when they start to get something going their way.
Well, plus, they've needed him.
Yes.
I mean, if there is one player that they've needed this year, it's him. Marvin Harrison and Mekabuka can't do it all. Plus, they're still younger guys, They needed Julian Fleming to step up, and he's done it.
Yeah, him not at 100% is still pretty darn good, huh? Yeah.
And 4 touchdowns.
I love that you said that, Austin, because I do, because that would be like us
pulling at Nicole's heartstrings right
there.
That's the go-to move. I like to try.
It is. Seriously, that'd be like us trying to like give a huge presentation or work out with the flu. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not feeling your best, you got to give those guys the extra credit for just trying to look like nothing is wrong.
Yeah, I've had the flu for a long time. That's why it can't work out. Nicole, what is this QR code?
Oh, what does that do?
You can just scan it, register for the Buckeye Bowl Trip giveaway. I'm picking our 5th winner this week.
Oh my!
So there's 6, 7 more.
Yes.
Daisy, what do you think you get if you win?
I think you get a couple tickets to the bowl game, wherever that is that the Buckeyes end up at.
Deluxe
hotel accommodations. Airfare,
Yes.
I believe, is involved in this. And then maybe some Rooster swag, maybe?
Yep.
And am I missing something?
You're doing so great. Yes, that's
I don't get to do this much. I wasn't really prepared for it today.
It's an unbelievable experience. And so every week is a new chance to win. And so people just register every day. You can register once a day.
And you and a friend or somebody you don't even know or like.
You
can take whoever you want. You can take me.
Tom
you can
from Galena, Ohio.
You can take Zach.
Tom from Galena, Ohio won last week.
Okay.
He was so excited.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats to Tom. Still a lot of chances left. There's 7 games left. That means
7 more
opportunities
Yep.
to win.
Yep.
14.
What about
more
the
people.
bye week?
The bye week flows into the following week. So there's 2 weeks of registering.
move.
See, I'm answering
That's the
questions
most-
for all the viewers already.
I like
I'm
it.
asking
You know
questions
what
as
to
we
do.
go,
Yeah.
right?
Jay-Z
you know?
is here every week.
I know.
It would just be weird
Dang
if
it,
you
I
said
messed it up.
13 trips.
Yeah.
You know, 12 sounds better.
12 is it?
13's
Yeah,
lucky
12 is
number,
a
though.
much better number. Well, in some people's eyes.
Yeah.
Hotels don't have 13th floor on the elevator for
But I
a
like
reason.
13.
Well,
I think that's great. I think that's great.
I'm born on the 13th. Okay, I love the 13th.
And an even dozen, as they say.
even doesn't.
Nicole, this will be Ohio State's
Ooh.
first road game of the year.
Yes.
They're favored by 25 points
Hey,
against Sparty.
I think another episode we also need to talk about the fact that we had 5 home games in a row. Because I was hearing from
Nicole,
those students.
You don't have to leave right now, Nicole.
Yeah,
You-
I mean, yeah.
you
You're
run the
in.
show.
You're in.
I was talking to the students about it, and they were kind of stressed about it because they were like, "It's a lot of games in a row." I think they were getting a little tired
Worried
with
for their livers?
And well, yeah.
I mean, they're going to be drinking
because-
anyways.
well,
I
they
mean, it's
are.
a Saturday.
But they're like, for at least a night game, we can come home, we can nap. The 3:30, people were kind of struggling a little bit, and then they said that they're bummed because they're not going to have that many games like when it's cold out. Because we
They
only
still
have a
got
few.
3.
Yeah, they
Yeah, but
got
do
some
you guys think,
opportunities.
and just from a hospitality standpoint, people that have to entertain people at the games, do you think that was a lot of home games in a row?
I don't think you should have to do it 5 weeks in a row.
Okay.
I didn't make it down this week. I know you were probably looking
I was
for
like,
me.
gosh, I wonder if Ohio State's going to cover because Zach's not at the tailgate yet, and we have a new
know.
tradition that's now been
I
been
gave
broken.
up on it.
broken.
It's okay. It's okay. It was Rutgers. It was Rutgers.
Well, that's
We
why I
gave up on
said it. Like, I mean, I wish that I was drinking Fireball during the game because it would have been way more entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Like to try and write snap judgments after.
Do you think that it makes any difference to the team? Do you think that
I think
this
they-
being
No,
an
they-
away game?
I think
love it.
Yeah. You want to know something? It's funny you brought that up because I was thinking about this. It's they love home games because you don't have to go on the road. You're not leaving Friday. You don't
Some
have to
time
worry
off
about
after the
you don't have to
game.
worry about the travel back after the game. But this is what I do have to say is the first time you feel like a real team is kind of the first time you go on the road.
Yeah.
It's like that first time where you go on the road. It's
You got
cut
a smaller
down
roster,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think 75 guys are on travel roster unless they increase it by then. It's a smaller group of guys. You go into enemy territory. You're kind of looking around. You're in a foreign place. It's like the first time you kind of like look at each other. And it's a bonding
Yeah,
experiment.
it's like we're all we got.
Exactly.
Type thing, yeah.
And so, yes, I think they like the 5 home games, but really this would be a first week, and it's week 6 of college
Yeah.
football where they're going on the road. It's like, hey, here we go, guys. This is it. Enemy territory. People are gonna be yelling at us, screaming at us, spitting on us, whatever it might be. We got to stick
Do you
together.
think
and come
it'll, like,
together.
mentally, does it affect you at all? Like, when you get in a routine and it's like, oh, home game, do you think it's going to throw anyone off? Like, whoa, wait a second,
Well, we'll find out. I mean, how they handle it for the first time. Like as Zach said, I remember the 2012 season. They went up to East Lansing. That was their first road game, the first time with Urban, and they randomly created a tradition of a championship water and championship toast and came together, sort of another bonding moment of many that they had that sort of fueled them on for the rest of that unbeaten run.
Yeah, and I think sometimes to answer your question, Nicole, is that when you go so many games at home, granted this was Rutgers this past week, but you kind of, I don't want to call it lethargic, but you just kind of get monotonous and, hey, I'm going through the routine. It's kind of like the first time you go on the road, it's like, oh, man, you get alerts. It's like you get smacked in
That's
the face.
what I meant.
Where,
I didn't know if it was going to be a negative alert.
Yeah,
when you get kind of like just comfortable?
Yeah, I think, and that's where I would see, and I think maybe we did see it this past week a little bit with how boring the game was, that there was a little bit boringness, hey, whatever. Whereas they're going to go on to the game this weekend, and I think it's finally a wake-up call. Hey, okay, this is something new. We're finally not in our same routine because there is. You are in such the same routine every week.
It was like that for everyone, I think. The students, too, which is so weird because you're right. They drink every game day, but they were kind of like, oh, they didn't have that off week to kind of change
Kids
it up.
are so soft nowadays. You can't go
Not
5 weeks in a row.
Not in my day.
I'm not going to condone them drinking more. Are you kidding?
That's not what we do.
No, I wouldn't say that.
So what do you think is going to happen, Nicole? What is your score prediction for Ohio State, Michigan State?
Now after that conversation, I'm changing it.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Ooh.
I can see what it was supposed to be. Now we're going to see how
I'm
much
going to
she believes.
do 43-17. I like picking the odd numbers.
17.
Mhm.
That's a Nicole cover.
43-17.
We'll save yours. Jason has time to
Yeah.
work on his math. Is there anything else that we need to talk
Oh,
just
that's
before you
it.
go? All
Just
right.
register for the bowl game.
Register for
giveaway.
the bowl game giveaway. You can do that. And you should probably, if you're in Columbus, just come hang out at Roosters and watch the game here on Saturday.
It'd be great. We'd love to have you.
I would rather watch it here than from East Lansing, which is the least hospitable to the media of any place in the conference.
Same as players.
That's okay. We'll get into that then in the second half of the show. We're gonna let Nicole go. This is the live show. On the podcast is at Roosters in the Horseshoe Lounge. Thanks to Nicole. We'll be right back, and we'll bring Berm in, and he'll have a lot more to say. Bye.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back to the live show in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. Berm's here. How's it
Hey,
going?
Berm, what's
He's
up?
he's recovering from birthday weekend. Look at him.
He's
so
to
much
celebrate
older, wiser.
to celebrate Bobby
37th
Carpenter,
birthday?
25th.
To celebrate, Bobby Carpenter's out in Las Vegas, taking care of my birthday celebration. 44, actually.
Did you tell him to put 20 on red for you or something?
No, I don't.
44,
gamble.
huh?
44. That's right.
Good birthday.
Zach's number.
Hey, how about
And,
that?
you know,
Yeah,
I want to go
jeez.
back to the point you guys were talking about just as you wrapped up the first segment of the show, and about that sort of lackadaisical vibe that goes into 5 straight home games, especially if you're not playing someone great. And I got to say, I'm a little disappointed that your tailgate was not really rocking and rolling when we walked by. Austin was lamenting the fact that he didn't have to take fireball shots this past Saturday. And I think if
It
we're
wasn't.
asking, he keeps saying that the game was boring on Saturday. And I think what's happened is that you have changed his perspective, because the last couple games he's been going into it with a slight fireball buzz.
Oh, really? Has he
I
now?
have said this 1,000 times.
And this week-
I have been training at such an elite level for so long that one fireball shot with Zach doesn't affect my consciousness in any way.
I think it's the Zach vibe that he brings just changes.
that-
that might.
that
you know.
enhances
that might rub
that
off on him a
enhances
little
my
bit.
mood, but it doesn't have anything to do with the boots.
Berm, to rebuttal what you said, you are correct. I'm not playing football anymore, though. So guess what? I don't have to perform 5 weeks in a row.
What about
okay?
competitive stamina?
You want to know something? It wasn't there.
Bobby has
it
that.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't there. Bobby has that. You know, with all of his other things that he's got going on. You know,
Busiest man in Columbus.
endorsements,
Everything.
Yes.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Whatever it is.
whatever it is. You know, listen, it is what it is. If I was single, maybe I'd be down there. But
Married man now. I
bringing
mean,
the
we got
wife down
family
there
stuff
5
to
weeks in a
do.
row.
You're probably at the pumpkin
That was
patch,
it.
weren't you?
No, that was yesterday.
Oh, that's yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Fall picture
No.
day.
Well, I mean, I know it's coming. You know, I'm gonna be doing it at some point here
Really
as
great.
well. So,
No.
yeah.
Saturday, you want to know something? We went and got a good workout in the morning, and then we made tailgate food and just
Boom.
hung out. But you want to know something? Here's I love home football games. You know, I get down there early. We have big tailgate normally. Yesterday or Saturday was a little bit relaxed, so I get that.
As in, you weren't there.
Yeah,
Relax.
it is what it is. But you want to know something? There's something to be said about being at home and be able to go back and forth between like college football games. I haven't done that in so long, just because I do go to every home game. It's actually great
No, it's
to
amazing.
flip back and forth between all those games.
Especially when
No,
you're playing
I
Rutgers
totally
and the
agree.
game's
Yeah, I
over
know.
at
When you
halftime.
turn
You're
up
like,
to watch
what else
Rutgers.
can I watch
Yeah.
here to see some good
I
football?
totally agree. And if we're going to talk about football and watching it on TV, isn't that the annoying thing about Thursday night football games being on Amazon, where you can't just flip to another channel? Like you got to
there's nothing else.
you got to like
well,
leave the app.
Yeah.
And go, that's pretty dumb, Amazon. I'm against that.
I get
Anti
it.
that.
That is a good point. I never thought about that.
well, there's only college football, and so you just have to decide what you want to do.
NFL and Amazon Prime.
Well, I know, but I'm saying Thursday night.
Yeah, but
There's
you're
only
forced-
going to be one.
forced to
you know,
commit.
one or two college.
just
games
annoying
on.
to have to leave the app and then like you have
Go
to
back in.
You know, it's just I like to do the quick flip. You know, like
Yeah.
oh commercial, oh no flip.
Oh, you're one of those guys. You can't just sit and enjoy
No,
the
no,
commercials.
I can't
huh?
sit and do anything. I have to constantly. I am constantly moving. I have what some folks would call a problem.
A little bit of a weight problem.
Well, that was what I called for. Man,
Damn, Jay-Z.
well, that's just the way it took me to that part in the movie. I don't know.
no,
Yeah,
but that part's also true.
Jay-Z famous for his movie quotes.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
references.
You've really matured.
I started watching movies now.
That's I
Trying
gotta
to keep up with
I
you
gotta
guys.
Keep up with these guys. I don't know what they're talking about.
Jay-Z's wife's like, why do you keep watching these stupid movies? Because Bobby keeps making quotes. Oh,
Exactly. I'm lost all the
Peer
time.
pressure. Yeah.
I gotta
yeah.
go back and watch the '80s movies and
Top
everything.
Gun,
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Love it.
You have it?
No.
I've never seen Top Gun, But that's not what's relevant. What's relevant here is that it's my turn to give out Buckeye Leaf.
It sure is. How many you got?
Well, I've got 3.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a light day. It's a light day for Burn.
I can do what I want.
Oh wow.
He's got B on his chest. He can do what he wants.
The first is offense. Who do you guys think it is?
CJ Stroud.
Offensive line.
Nope.
Ryan Day.
It's Emeka Ibuka. He was a game time decision on Saturday, and a guy that was, if we're being, we were told pretty much at the start of the game they didn't think he was going to play.
Right.
And in a situation where the offense is running a little bit low as far as guys that are out and available and to catch the ball, I think it was just important that he went out and said, I could take this day off and didn't, and still led the team with 4 catches. Still, even though he allowed Rutgers to score their first touchdown with that absolutely bonkers decision to try to catch that punt.
I mean, he didn't allow them. He helped set them
No,
up.
I mean, his decision to try and catch that ball.
Was it windy? You were on the field in the first half. I mean,
the wind was definitely blowing.
Did that wind hurt? Because it looked like every punt he caught almost was like over his shoulder trying to get.
It was windy, but let it go.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Well, yeah.
It's not a throw
you don't have to throw your hands up there. Just say, all
it's not a
right.
thrown
I
pass.
tried, wasn't there?
He did that a few weeks ago, but there was nobody within 20 yards of him when he caught the one. I think it was in the Arkansas State game.
I think he's done it in every game when he's been back
And
there.
that's fine and good if there's nobody within 20 yards, and if you drop it, you're going to pick it up. But when there's a guy on your shoulder and it's almost like your contested catch, don't put up your hands. But either way, just the toughness to go out there, and I think that's something that is really discussed when it comes to the Ohio State receiver room. We know that they're elite receivers and they're tactical and they're technical and they do all the things, but they're really a bunch of tough kids in that room, and I think that is a testament to
technical, tactical,
and tough. The 3 T's.
3 T's of wide receiver play. You can write that down, Brian.
Podcast.
You can let Brian Hartline use that. You're gonna walk into the receiver room and you're gonna see those 3 T's up there.
So
it's a great idea.
I think that gets not talked about very much, and that goes back to the 2014 class specifically. I think when you have Johnny Dixon and Terry McLaurin and Paris Campbell and KJ or Curtis Samuel, that group changed Ohio State football to me in the last decade more than maybe anything else has. But that's neither here nor there.
Was that long ago? Wow, that's crazy.
That's time for another. That's another story. But
okay,
defensively, and this is going to be sounding crazy. Am I crazy? No, I'm not crazy. It's Ronnie Hickman, man. The dude just shows up in a room that's constantly rotating guys who are in and out of games because of injuries. There's just Ronnie Hickman who just goes out every game. And unlike a year ago where he had to make 15 tackles a game because nobody else could do it, he's just back there playing solid football on the field every play. You look out there at the end of the third quarter, and it's Kai Stokes and Sonny Styles, and then there's Ronnie Hickman still out there. And he's sort of taking on this big brother role in that group where, he's the stabilizer. And I think that Jim Knowles, you can use that too. Forget the adjuster; he's now the stabilizer. And then, of course, Ryan Day. Ryan Day has
the equalizer.
Yeah, but back to what you said, Ronnie Hickman, I think gets the short end of the stick a lot, and with us included, because it's on me for not pointing him out as much as we should. The dude's a baller. Yeah. I mean, the dude is the one who keeps that whole back end intact. I mean, he is such a great football player. But those guys up front are making so many plays that you're right. It doesn't go back to, Ronnie Hickman's not having to make 15 tackles a game, but he does everything right. He is tough. He plays with sense of urgency. He's always in the right place at the right time. I almost think he's underappreciated because people just expect him to.
Does he have shankability?
He has
that's
that
a big.
too.
All right. He's got shankability. Okay,
but he'd tell you why he's doing it.
Okay,
before he does it, which is nice. It's
nice
you
like to know. Yeah,
it's nice to have that explained to you. And then Ryan Day, and I think just Ryan Day has taken a lot of guff from a lot of people about not being tough enough, and I think it's something that he has purposely put on his shoulders this year to make sure that people know that he's going to bat for his kids, that he's making sure that the other team knows he's going to fight for his team, that officials know he's going to fight for his kids. And you saw it with the defensive pass interference call against Jair Brown in the Toledo game. Then you saw it again on Saturday.
That was against Wisconsin.
Whatever. Wisconsin, Toledo, basically the same thing right now.
Sort of.
Except Toledo's not firing their coach.
Maybe they should.
Jason Kendall probably
do a coach swap.
You advocated for it last year.
No, I didn't. I just said that I think that Toledo.
I think I remember
Toledo
that.
loses games they shouldn't lose too often. But that's another.
That's your hometown team. You're probably dialed in on that one.
Another show.
Aren't you?
He's very
dialed. That's another show for another time. But Ryan Day deserves some credit, and I think that his players are responding to that sort of energy from him in a way that is going to be building this program, not just the rest of this year, but moving forward. So those are my 3.
I asked him about that on Saturday, and he didn't want to really talk about that publicly. Like, are you treating this with more of an edge? Do you feel like you're coaching tougher than in years past? And I can understand why he might be sensitive about saying, "Well, yeah, I am. Like, I had to change something."
Look how tough I am.
Because, like, you know,
because people want to be like, "Why weren't you?
Yeah, why
coaching
weren't you
tough?"
before?
Yeah,
and I understand that part of it, but I think you definitely see it, and you know, high school doofus Greg Schiano certainly felt that after running 52 yards across the field.
52 and a third.
but
I
you
hope
wanna know-
Austin
you-
changes
you
his
wanna-
number because Greg still has his phone number,
But you want to know something?
and I know
It's,
he watches this stuff. He
100%. He's
scours
dialed in
the
on
internet
this.
for
Yeah.
everything RE Rutgers.
This is what I'll say, and I'll say it in the nicest way possible. And I love Ryan Day, but everyone needs to be punched in the face every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? You can't always be riding high and everything going your way. You have to be punched in the face, and that is us as human beings. That's us that's the Ohio State football team. That's the Ohio State coaching staff. It's everyone. And I think that game in Ann Arbor, Michigan last November punched them in the face, and you need it. You need a wake-up call. You need to be like, oh, man, okay, I finally taste a little bit of blood, and now I know what that tastes like, right? It's been so long since they'd actually been punched in the mouth. And so I think now going into this year, we talked about it, you know, before the Notre Dame game, is that we thought Ryan Day would just completely crank it up this year and be a completely different coach from a mindset standpoint on the way he coached, the way he went after teams, kind of setting the tone type of coaching. And we saw it through the first non-conference games, like, hey, I'm going to feel out the team.
Yeah.
But we've seen it come Big Ten season. Now it's kind of like, hey, it's time for us to go.
And I think he's still doing it in a way that is being respectful. As you guys talked about in the first segment, like, he was trying to take the foot off the gas pretty early on Saturday, as I thought he would, because he does have a lot of respect for Greg Schiano. He did the same thing the week before. You know,
I don't think that you're reading that correct, Berm.
I mean, they stopped trying to score.
They did, but I don't think it had anything to do.
I think
with
it's
Greg
about
Schiano.
Maybe it's Greg Schiano. Maybe it's not wanting national narratives to be that he's some sort of DB, but whatever.
That's more likely.
And maybe it is, but the point is he's recognizing it and saying we're going to do what is in the spirit of the game, which again I think is stupid. If the clock's running, play ball. I've said this multiple times. Like, you do not do me a favor as a competitor by not kicking my ass when you can. Like, I just don't think so.
Well,
whatever. We can talk.
Yeah, let's talk about
that's
it.
another show for another show.
Because I think the way that Ohio State feels about it is that Rutgers has done things intentionally and elaborately over the last few years to make the score seem closer than it was in reality. And that irritation built to what you saw in the fourth quarter with Ryan Day's response and Greg Schiano coming over and making a big show of it himself after trying to block a punt when Ohio State had said, this game is over, we're not going to run the score up.
Yeah, we're on the 50-yard line, we're punting it.
If you're going to keep trying, well, then do you want us to? Because we have to. And that's what Jesse Mirko did.
What the frustration is that Rutgers isn't on national TV every week, right? Ohio State is. So every one of these games against Greg Schiano, he's using that as a platform to show America his team and what they're. So that idea of, look, we only lost 49-35 or 49-28 this like they did in 2020. That was a 35-0 game, and Ohio State could have won the game 100-0. And then all of a sudden, he's got guys laying down in the end zone and kickoffs and doing all, and it just is annoying. And like, you want Ohio State to say, guys, we get it, it's not a big deal, but at the same time, you're trying to use Ohio State games that they're letting you keep close when you're down 42-10, whatever. Like, it's just that is an irritation that Ohio State doesn't need to deal with. And I kudos to Ryan Day, and I actually, I was rewatching that game because I am a sicko. And I was rewatching it.
Sheesh.
I don't know how he kept himself after that play happened from coming out and throwing the ball to the end zone 3 straight times. I would have come out and let Kyle McCord and Jaden Ballard take 3 straight shots to the end zone. Say, you know what, we're going to do it with our second team in, and we're still going to do it.
This is what you wanted.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
kudos. And I know Ryan Day. I guarantee you, he had a thought. Like,
I'm sure he thought of it, but he also thought, I got to go shake this guy's hand in about 5 minutes.
I guarantee you he thought about it, and I also guarantee it was one of those things that after it happened, he had other people in his ear and coach making those guys like, hey, calm down, like, we're good. And then Ryan Day's I love Urban, But Urban and Ryan are completely different from this standpoint. And a lot of people say Ryan's not intense. Ryan's an intense dude. If people know Ryan behind closed doors and say, what you saw Saturday is what Ryan is behind closed doors. And not many people see that. That's because he keeps, kind of everything put together. Whereas an Urban's complete opposite where he wears his emotions on his sleeve. Urban on Saturday, once that happens, is going for your throat. Say, hey, screw that. Whereas I think Ryan can turn it on and turn it off, which we see him do so well. And I think it was like, okay, hey, people talk to me. I'm, kind of get me off the cliff. And
he was already in that mindset of, all right, we're shutting this thing down. And then all of a sudden, got amped up, fired up. And he's probably like, F it, let's go. And then they were like, hey, come on, relax. We're good here. Good. Let's stick to the original plan that you had here to run this clock out. But it gave some excitement, at least.
But it still goes back to Schiano. Schiano was trying to block the punt.
Well, exactly.
Why do you try and block the punt up 49-10, right?
It goes back to 2020. I mean, they had 3 or 4 trick plays to give themselves a few more scores in that game to come out and say.
It's just a hypocrisy that you don't want to have. Like, I don't think Ryan Day wants to point out that Greg Schiano's being a hypocrite. But you leave him no choice. When you sit there and say, keep chopping, we're going to play 60 minutes, we're going to play till the whistle, but then you expect your opponent to not do the same, is garbage.
And it wasn't even that. The punter was supposed to punt the ball, I feel.
No, it was not.
He did his rugby punt, and he said, those 4 guys all ran in that way. There is nothing out here. I'm going to pick up the first time.
Jesse Merkel punts, I'm like, why doesn't he run this ball?
It's
it's a weird thing. Whatever.
Yeah. Hunters are ball players too.
Hey, we don't have to talk about Rutgers for another year.
But there's some teams in the Big Ten who act like that, though. Like you just said, Rutgers is one of them. Another one that I know is a hot topic is Maryland, right? We'll see them, and I mean they're actually playing okay this year. So who knows what those guys are going to think? But there are some teams in the Big Ten who, like you said, will try and score touchdowns late in a game and expect Ohio State to pull off just to make it closer on what they think and then use it to their advantage down the road.
Like we held Ohio State to...
Look at this progress.
Yeah.
That's not actually real.
We can put Rutgers to bed for the next year. I'm sure next year they'll also play Ohio State on my birthday for some reason because that's just what happens.
And you guys can enjoy the ride to
Piscataway.
Right.
There's some really good food. Some...
Bullies.
Strombos.
Strombos. Jay-Z's a Strombo, man. I'm a bully guy.
I can't. Do you know what he's talking about?
Stromboli?
No, okay. Bully. Have you heard Bully before?
No.
Okay, he dropped that on us last week.
I've never heard Strombo either.
Well,
Stromboli.
He went Bully. So do I.
Either of you are talking about it.
I'm a Stromboli guy too, but you had to be here last week.
If you haven't had to make a bunch of trips to Rutgers, it shows, right? I mean, we are pure New Jersey.
Got to come up with things to talk about.
What you should do is stay in New York City Friday night and do that whole thing, and then take the train Saturday
big city
morning.
Big city guys.
I'm taking the train from New York City to Piscataway. It was actually a great ride. It's fun. You can have Bloody Mary on it. You're good.
There's a lot of bloodiness happening in trains.
I don't know if they're Bloody Marys.
It's different. It's different than the subway. It's actually a what do they call those?
Commuter.
An Amtrak.
Call it a mistake.
No, it's an Amtrak.
Either way,
Amtrak.
we're not doing it. We're not doing that. I can guarantee you that. Let's talk
about
about
You guys go catch some Broadway shows.
Let's talk about Sparty. Have you watched any of Michigan State so far, Zach?
I have watched some of Michigan State. I thought at the beginning of the year defensively they were actually going to be a very good football team. They had defensive end who I think at one point, maybe after week 2 or week 3.
He had 4 sacks against Western Michigan in week 1.
I know, but he was like leading maybe it was 6 or 7 sacks through like 3 weeks, leading the country in sacks. And Xavier Henderson's a Pickerington Central guy, so I follow X, who's one of their captains.
One of my favorite players in college football. Love Xavier.
Great safety. But they've just like completely fallen apart. Once the offense and Peyton Thorne fell off the tracks, it's like the whole team fell. And I think the offense through the first couple of weeks was performing well. Peyton Thorne was making some plays with his legs. They were able to run the football. Then they go to Washington and they derail. They can't complete a pass. They turn the ball over, I think, 3 or 4 times at Washington, and the defense can't stop anyone. Yeah. And so, I mean, it is a bad cyclical kind of thing going on at Michigan State right now in the entire program.
3 straight losses that are just
embarrassing.
13 points against Maryland.
Embarrassing.
Not good.
I think that this is one of the issues that they're facing is that when you build a team through the transfer portal, when things go bad, you don't have the chemistry built in to really kind of get it back on track. And I think that Mel Tucker has made it a point since he arrived in East Lansing to try to put together a team that's just find whoever wants to join, and we'll figure out the the spirit of this later, and like that's not the way it works. College football, you have to like the guy that you're playing against in practice. You have to like the guys that you're getting off the bus with. And I'm not saying that's the case in Michigan State. I'm saying they probably don't know. Like a lot of these guys,
you just met them.
You just like, oh, what's your name? 97. No, your name, not your number.
Yeah.
97 plays tight end for them. It's weird. I just feel like there's something just amiss, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just sitting here pulling out my hair.
No,
like, why do you
but you're
give
not
this guy
missing
$100
because
million?
they were 3-0 going into Washington, right? 2-0 or 3-0, right?
Yeah.
Ranked number
And
11.
they looked like they were putting up some points.
And great, and they were ranked number 11 in the country. And then they
This
go
is why
out
preseason
to,
polls are stupid.
But they're stupid. But after 2 weeks, they're still ranked 11th. Granted, they didn't play anyone.
It is what it is.
But they're ranked 11th. They go to Washington probably feeling really good about themselves. You got absolutely punched in the mouth at Washington. And you're right. They probably got on that long plane ride back, and they probably start pointing fingers. It's, you go through some adversity. Hey, there is no camaraderie. There's nothing here to this team besides number, right? Your number from transferred here from Temple, right? I mean, that's all it is. So, yes, it affects the locker room, affects the teams, and once it affects the locker room, that's not just a week-long thing. That is, it picks up.
Especially as you continue to play bad, and by the end of the year,
and then you play Maryland
fights in the locker room and everything else.
Correct.
But I feel like he had his success by doing that, though, right? His first season.
He had last year.
He had half of a
games.
year of success.
He lucked into a running back in Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, that's true.
Extremely good.
Yeah.
They won 2 games in 2020, right? I mean, they were not good in the COVID year.
They were terrible.
Ohio State could have scored 100 points on them last year if they wanted to. That's another game where you're like, hey, it's 49-0 at half. Let's just take a break.
Right.
I mean,
that's when we got him to sign that contract at halftime, right?
He had DocuSign back. Yeah. Like, I didn't finalize
Better
this.
get this $95 million.
That's why Michigan State charges us for parking, which they actually didn't. They charged me for parking, and they still haven't given me a parking pass. And they're saying, we don't have enough parking passes. Then why did you charge me?
Why'd you take the reservation?
Because you have to get the buyout money.
Take the reservation.
It's the holding
reservation.
They give us 2 vouchers for either a bratwurst or a pretzel.
Oh, come on. Those pretzels I heard are good up there, though.
They're horrible.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's horrible. They're the only team in the league that does that. And then they always schedule a blizzard when we show up there.
It won't be a blizzard this Saturday.
It's going to be like
45 degrees. Yeah, you never know.
I know, but it won't be a blizzard.
I think Mark D'Antonio created a weather machine.
East Lansing makes its own
still
weather.
Have it.
Okay.
So, point is,
he took it with him.
Yeah,
as you look ahead, we got to get score predictions from you guys on the game. Like I think actually the loss.
Are you going to be like Herbie again and not give a score prediction on Monday?
I think that the loss to
Part
Maryland
of the
was actually a better loss than the one to Minnesota a week ago at home, where they just got absolutely stomped by a Minnesota team that went out and laid an egg against Purdue
at home.
Like
at home.
I can almost,
ladies and gentlemen, the
feel
Big Ten West
better
stopped rowing the boat
about a 27-13 loss on the road to Maryland. And it's a decent Maryland team. And
I don't think Maryland's a bad team. They should have been much closer to Michigan.
I think
Michigan
Michigan State and Maryland are on the same sort of level, right? Yeah. I don't think that it's like that bad of a loss. So one to Minnesota, who's a lot tougher, I think, than Michigan State is clearly. But what do you see as you get into this weekend?
20, based off the last 3 weeks,
favorites Ohio State is
25. I think he said earlier. I mean, you're thinking. I think Nicole was right in the wheelhouse of 48-13. You know, that's probably what I would expect this game to be at the end of it, because it just doesn't feel like they have anything going for them. And yeah, you're at home, but you've got Ohio State, a team that's scoring tons of points, yards all over the place, can do whatever they want. Their defense is playing really good. I don't know how you, I mean, I know you're getting paid a lot of money to do it, but I don't know how you get your team ready to go. Like, hey, we got a shot this week. Let's go out and get these guys. Because it's not going to happen.
Through this show, we've talked about kind of getting hit in the face, right? And we talked about it with Ryan Day last year, and actually the entire team against Michigan last year. Mm-hmm. I think, and even though Mayan Williams was great, I think C.J. Stroud kind of got that this past Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. Thinking of Rutgers, I'm going to put up a massive game, massive stats. I'm going to cement as being, the favorite in the Heisman Trophy race. I know, he's still the favorite. But and I don't want to say this in a bad way, he hasn't had that holy cow game this year. Yeah, he's put up some games where multiple touchdowns. I think was it Arkansas State maybe threw for 300.
He has 2 400-yard games with 5 touchdowns, but we're like,
No, I know that, but if he doesn't throw for 400
he
or
doesn't
more,
have a 400-yard game yet.
He doesn't have a 400.
He doesn't have a 400.
300. 300. Sorry,
it's a 300.
380 or something. He got to.
Yeah, but I think that was only Arkansas State, and so I think what we're gonna see is that 5 or 6 touchdown game from C.J. Stroud and absolutely go off, and that's going to happen this weekend. Our defense is playing so well. Peyton Thorne cannot throw the football. They're going to try to run it. They don't have a great run game. I see something in like people keep on throwing up 13. I'm going to go like 52-10. 52-10. I think it's going to be something in there. And let's be honest, Ryan Day is a guy that does a lot of things for recruiting. And having a Heisman Trophy winner does a lot for recruiting. It brings a lot of attention to the program. I can almost guarantee you that Ryan Day is going to bring some tricks out of the bag when it comes to throwing the football and some different concepts that teams haven't seen this year to open up some big plays for C.J. Stroud so he can get those big stats.
Well, I think C.J. probably is going into this game licking his chops a little bit saying, I didn't
now,
the wind was the wind. I mean, the weather, you can't account for that, whatever. Maybe that affected some of those balls, but he didn't have his best game throwing the football.
No.
So he's licking his chops saying, I want to get back out there. I want to
what I'm
show.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I think they're on the same page,
Yeah.
and he's like, I want to prove that, I am the guy.
He threw for what, 152 against Rutgers?
Yeah.
152 and 2 touchdowns, I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
Under
saying.
200 yards for him, that's not a good game.
That's what I'm saying. I think he got slapped in the face. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He just didn't throw it.
He
like
did what he had to do.
It.
We still won the game, but it's not the CJ we're used to seeing. The standard is the standard, right?
Correct.
Michigan State is, I think, 92nd in the country on offense and like 110th on defense.
And they had the worst pass defense in all of college football, I think, last year.
They're a bad team. And I think in some ways, when you guys talked about the challenges of going on the road for the first time, I think what they have to count on is that Ohio State comes into this game thinking, this is going to be a bad team against a bad game, or a bad game against a bad team, and we can just go in there and do it on. You have to hope that the difference of being on the road and then maybe just going in and thinking, let's get through this and get to the off week. And you got a lot of guys planning their trips home and trying to figure out, where they're going to take their girlfriend on their off week date night. I mean, you just hope
is that what they do.
You just hope they're thinking. Michigan State has to hope that's what Ohio State's thinking, right? I don't think Ohio State's going to think that. If they would have thought, then they wouldn't have been thinking that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure that I follow it, but
I get it.
I think being the road game this week is big for them.
He gets it.
It's something different.
My only goal is to make sure this guy gets it.
I get it.
That is how Michigan State has to hope Ohio State is.
Say some numbers, Berm.
Ohio State 45-17. It's.
You made it seem a lot worse.
Yeah.
No, I think Ohio State. I think you have a challenge going in. It's a different mindset of being on the road, and a 28-point win on the road in East Lansing is pretty good.
I just think they're going to put up more than 45 points. Nicole,
I think they should.
Threw out 43. You threw out what?
48.
48. I just think they're going to get over the 50 mark, and I don't want to say that like, oh my God, that's so easy to get over the 50 mark.
Well, it is actually for them. It's bizarre how easy it is.
but Michigan State's defense is so bad, and I think people are coming off this past week, even after a 49-10 win against Rutgers. Like, we need to prove something. Like, there's something.
I'll tell you, my concern is that I believe fully that the defenses around college football are seeing the recipe for how to slow down Ohio State. And by slow down, I mean they only average a point per play, right? You have to figure out a way to limit the ability to stretch the ball down the field. Notre Dame set the tone.
Yeah.
Everyone else has done it since, except for Toledo, and that's just because Vince Keir's the defensive coordinator. Like, I'm going to do things my way, and they're going to go at it. They knew they weren't going to win, so they're like, let's try to make it
practice our stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You got to play your game when you're Toledo in that instance. I think the rest of the Big Ten is saying this is what seems to work. Wisconsin gave up 52 points, but it wasn't a huge, crazy
But
game.
it doesn't actually work.
I mean, it does work.
Well,
Ohio State's only getting 45 plays a game with their starters.
But this is where I'm going to rebuttal is that I agree with you, and so many teams are showing that cover 2 look, which is why you run the football against cover 2. Yep. You know this as a quarterback, 100%. Right? And so that's why you've seen Ohio State run the ball so much better this year. But Ryan Day is a smart coach, a very smart coach. There are things that they are writing up to beat this cover 2 coverage
there's definitely
that they
beaters.
have not showed yet. And I guarantee you they're going to start, at East Lansing, first game on the road, they will start opening up this playbook and starting to show things. Hey, listen, you can only run so many freaking quick screens, right? or little pops or, so many slants or things like that to try and beat this cover 2 and get something underneath. Yeah. They will start showing other things. And at some point, Ryan Day's playbook is going to open up. And that's what I think we're going to get to this week by going on the road. And Ryan Day's going to want to start the game quick and fast. You're going to see Ryan Day want to have another Wisconsin game where it's 28-0 after the first quarter. And you have to be able to open things up in order to do that.
And I think you're going to see that game on Saturday. And Buckeyes fans, you should probably get online and start buying your tickets now. Like, I think you're going to see more Scarlet in the stands than you will Green because it's basketball season in East Lansing now. Like those folks are like.
Also, if you can find a parking pass, let me know.
Austin, hit us up in the comments. Austin needs a parking
pass. I got
pass.
scammed by Michigan State apparently, so gonna have to put in
contact the FBI.
A credit card fraud. From Michigan
Something,
State.
yeah, jeez. Shiesty up there.
Very much looking forward to the first road trip.
Hey, you guys have fun. It's going to be great.
Can't wait to hit the road for Ohio State and Michigan State. You can also register. This win would make the Buckeyes Bowl eligible. That's very important.
Did you give your score?
I didn't.
No.
52-10. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, let me just squeeze that in real quick as we get out of here. That's why everyone's here to keep me
keep Austin on track.
Yeah, that's because otherwise we'd get sidetracked.
Yeah, we'd be off the rails.
Yeah,
that never happens.
We'd never get a show done.
I think you just stole my score too, by the way.
Did I?
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought you said
yeah, you didn't want. Yeah, you didn't want 13. You wanted 10.
Okay, 63-10. How about that? Okay. Who cares? It's Michigan
It's
State.
a blowout.
It's 25 points. Okay. It's gonna be a blowout.
Oh, did we just jinx us?
The whole "who cares" thing. This guy doesn't learn. He doesn't learn, America.
We care.
Well, I get
Who cares?
I get to make a score prediction every day this week. So what I say on Monday, I'll just change it tomorrow. Zach won't be around, and I'll just go back to.
He's real committed
52-10
to the bit.
It's not a bit.
We're saying goodbye.
I'm saying that they're going to cover.
We're going to cover the spread.
Cover the spread and win,
and it's going to be comfortable.
Hey, is anyone on commitment watch?
Michigan State? Probably not.
No. Just in general.
Is anybody leaving from up there transfer portal?
Probably.
Do we want any of those guys?
Well, they've all transferred.
Probably not.
They've all transferred once, so you can't use them anymore.
Dang it.
They're all from the portal. Can't wait.
We'll talk recruiting. You want to talk a recruiting episode on the podcast this week? You can join me.
I don't think he wants to do that. He's got to do Buckeye Q. So watch for that on the podcast. Thanks to Nicole Cox for having us in here for the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters for the live show. That's Jay-Z, Zach, Berm. I'm Austin. Enjoy your week. We will see you next Monday.